Welcome to the Wellness for Women show, where we talk about life, weight loss and everything in between. I'm Faye Caseman, founder of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Programme, and I'm here to help you put together the pieces of life and weight loss for one last time. This is an episode of the Wellness for Women show, filmed live in the free Facebook group. Hello, and welcome to episode number 73 of the Wellness for Women show, discovering intuitive eating, tapping into your body needs for weight loss. And today, like I said, we're going to take a closer look at our physical bodies, and I'm going to be talking about how you can tap into it and really listen to your body, as well as busting some myths about your hunger and satisfaction levels along the way. So the question is, are you listening to your body? And I mean really listening. So when I started my weight loss journey, I had zero clue about how my body actually worked and ticked. Hard to believe, but it's true. My eating habits, how I interacted with my body's physical needs, I just thought I was either hungry, not hungry, or full, but I didn't really listen to it or pay attention to what the whole of my body was actually trying to tell me. And dieting also can throw these signals out of whack. We can be told things like you can eat as much as you want as long as you're on X type of food, or eat what you want as long as you're in your calories or points. But the truth of the matter is that if you are not actually hungry, you are overeating. So it's no wonder sometimes that these methods don't always work. And we also have the tendency to try and stretch the parameters when on a diet, in inverted commas, as we feel so restricted and the cheeky little cracks start to show. But if often we don't give these any thought, and we can go about weight loss actually quite mindlessly. Whereas with intuitive eating and mindful eating, you can quickly and easily super sleuth your way to lasting weight loss, identifying your patterns and triggers, and with that awareness, step into action and ultimately get shit done. And so are you ready to hear about it? Are you? So hopefully you are by now. So let's crack on. So what does listening to your body actually mean? So it's about really listening, and I mean really, really listening to your body and to her signals and cues regarding hunger, fullness and satisfaction, but also checking in with your mind and soul too, as all of these could be impacting into the physical. And it involves being aware of the sensations that arrive in your body before, during, and after eating. So instead of relying on external guidelines or rules such as portion sizes, points, or calorie counting, which can sometimes be misleading, intuitive eating encourages you to trust your body's internal wisdom. It takes a bit of practice, but once you've got the hang of it, you've got the skill for life. And so again, as you become practiced and listening to your body, you become attuned to your own unique needs and preferences, which then not only help you with weight loss, if that's what you're working on, but can also just generally help you to understand more about you, about your energy levels, your emotions, your hormones, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and start to view yourself as this whole human being. And at the end of the day, intuitive eating is a holistic approach. It's an act of self-care, and you learn to respect yourself and your body. And it's a gateway to feeling absolutely bloody amazing as you work through each little hurdle and limiting belief one bite at a time. And it also brings you more joy as well. I certainly choose joy as much as possible nowadays, because you feel less restricted and you get in tune with your mind and body and soul. And maybe as you use mindful eating, you're savoring more food, you're enjoying that food more, you're fully experiencing that taste and texture or the aroma of the food, rather than just snuffling it down for the sake of it. And in the membership as well, we have a number of resources to help you to tap into your body's quantity and quality, and to overcome some of the common issues that can arise around food quantity. So I've got the physical needs scale, the clean plate club exercise, mindful eating exercises, all about clock eating and how you overcome that. And in this week's episode, because each week I put this episode straight into the membership as well, there's going to be two resources this week. One called Listening with a Little Bit of Heart and Soul, and one called Testing Your Body with Kinesiology. and how you can actually use kinesiology to test things like, are you genuinely hungry or not hungry? And the key to finding more joy, finding your balance, and the sweet spot for weight loss with love is curiosity and loving experimentation. You are the detective of your mind, body, and soul, and you can super sleuth your way to lasting weight loss and finding more joy in the process. So let's take a little dive into each end of the satisfaction scale and see what comes up for you. So first up, the Hunger Games, the dieting is often associated with deprivation, restriction, and hunger. And if you are perhaps a calorie counter, the word deficit is often used. And if you are a point counter, you can only have certain points, or maybe you're on an elimination diet and you can only have certain food. And if you are on shakes and potions, for example, you can only have those. And sometimes, say, working on weight loss, it can feel like you are Katniss Everdeen out there fighting for your survival in the wilderness with little support but your own grit. But it doesn't have to be that way. And so, as an intuitive eater or somebody who works on mindful eating, whatever it is that you want to call it, and certainly weight loss with love, and like say, if you're going to join my membership or work with me one-to-one, you'd be working on looking to up your food quality, as we covered in episode number 67, looking to eat when you're genuinely in physical need of food, and then looking to work on stopping when you're physically satisfied enough to get you to the next meal. So you're never starving, you're never ravenous, but you're just making sure that you're in need of sustenance. And it's all about finding balance and not letting ourselves get too hungry, and then not getting to the other end of the scale and overeating beyond our needs too. And in doing so with this and the method, and if you're in the membership, the planner, you're going to gather all of the awareness about all the fake signals that our body can give us, and all the times it can tell us that we're hungry for food, even when actually we're not. And because, again, you're going to be really looking at your body, your mind, your body and soul with this loving curiosity. And so at this end of the physical needs scale is about identifying whether you are in actual physical need of food or whether it's faux hunger. And so faux hunger, your typical ones would be urges, but it's not necessarily always an urge. So an urge is something that's urgent, whereas faux hunger can arise for other reasons. So, for example, I'm a clock eater. If I see the clock, I want to eat. If I go into the kitchen, I want to eat. So they create urges, but it's not quite the same as sort of cravings and really hankering after food. And if you want to find out more about what types of faux hunger there are, I covered 5 of them at least in episode 19. I think I then decided in a few episodes later that there was a 6th one. But go and check those out, and obviously check out the episodes from 19 onwards. But these are all practical. This is all really practical, a really practical approach to weight loss. And in doing so and taking these practical steps, what you're actually going to do is you're going to shift your beliefs. And so you're going to be able to then change what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and then ultimately what you're doing, because your thoughts lead to your feelings, lead to your actions. But the thing is, we can go a lot deeper as well, and we can go really deep on the belief level. And certainly we do that in belief coding, which is one of the things that I can help you with one-to-one. But what I really want to explore for you is your beliefs and your thoughts around what comes up when you hear the word hunger. So just the word hunger, or if I said to you hunger level. So if you are watching this on video, or you're on my profile, on my page, wherever it is that I'm doing this live, tell me in the chat, tell me in the free group, or again, if you're in the membership, leave a note in the membership. What comes up for you when you hear the word hunger? Just notice with love and curiosity if you're feeling a little bit triggered, if you're feeling a little bit worried when we're talking about hunger, being hungry, if you don't like feeling restricted, if you are worried about not being able to do something. That's really what I'm interested in knowing. And if you're feeling triggered, this is what needs to be explored, because if you want to heal your relationship with food, you've got to identify these things that trigger you. And so if you fear getting those belly rumbles, if you if you fear feeling hungry or any of those associated sensations, you might have a habit of eating as a preventative measure, for example. Conversely, you could be taking your hunger levels too far, of course, and believing after years of being stuck in the diet cycle that this is the only way that you can lose weight, that you have to do some kind of severe restriction, which also is not true and obviously can be very, very unhealthy if you're not careful. And so again, these are all different ends of the scale and the spectrum, but it's all about our relationship with food and healing those as we go through this process, rather than adding to them by dieting. And both of these, I say, they impact your relationship with food, your life. It could be preventing you from showing up with love and compassion and respect for yourself, because self-judgment is likely to be coming up a lot when you don't think that when you don't believe that you are perhaps doing the things that you should be doing, in inverted commas, or that you're not as far as you should be in the process. So again, I've recently explored this myself, and I was trying to remember earlier whether I actually said this on a previous podcast. So I could be repeating myself, and if I am, sorry about that. But you may not have been in the right place to hear it. So if I do repeat myself, it don't matter. But when I was a baby, as the story goes, I was physically sick a lot. Feed me and I would vom. And my family had to go around in wearing bin bags. It was so bad that apparently they had to throw away the sofa. And when I was exploring this with some belief coding, which is where we tap into the subconscious, and sometimes it's about working on old memories and how this impacted my physical needs, it was really, really interesting. So for years, if you'd have said to me, we'd been talking about being sick or ill or something like that, I just said I don't like feeling sick, and that I'd rather be sick than feel sick. And I would say it with conviction, but actually I didn't know where it came from. In fact, I didn't even give it any thought. It was just something that came out of my mouth. And where it comes from, having gone through the process of belief coding, and again, belief coded helped me to explore this in our formative years. Big formative years with regards to belief are the ages of 0 to 10, was that this experience that I had when I was a baby effectively created beliefs in me that, and you can imagine it really, that here I am, and I was perhaps, I was a baby, really not, let's say, conscious, unable to talk for myself, but yet I was still obviously cognizant, and there was a lot still going on in my mind, and everything was forming. But this little me, she ultimately was scared of eating. She hated feeling sick. She was worried about being sick and feeling hungry. And again, if you can imagine that what I must have been going through as that baby, it would have been really quite traumatic. And that's before we've even seen my parents and everybody around me wandering around in bin bags, possibly looking like they were wearing a hazmat suit, But again, with the belief coding process, I've been able to unpick that, and I've been able to heal that moment in my life. And so putting that into the context of eating, because that's how I actually got to that memory, I was actually exploring my hunger and waiting to be physically in need of food. And like I say, I'm really conscious about how I try and say that, because it isn't about being hungry. It's not about being starving. It's not about being ravenous. But what it helped me to identify was that actually I did have a fear of getting too hungry, too physically hungry, to the point where I might have felt nauseous. And so what that meant was actually I was eating as a preventative measure, and just so that I didn't feel those physical feelings. But that also meant then that I was eating far too early. And so it kind of gone the other way, if that makes sense, that it was about not waiting. I wasn't waiting long enough, perhaps, to see where I was at in my body, because I just didn't feel comfortable. And so ultimately I was putting more into my body than required, because I wasn't really truly in physical need of that food. Likewise, there was other habits that I found through coaching. So like I mentioned a minute ago, I got a habit of clock eating. So if I look at the clock and it's around 9, I'm like, oh, I should have had my breakfast by now. If it's getting towards 12, oh, I should have had my lunch by now. And these little automatic thoughts start to come into my head. Likewise, eating with the family, you know, sometimes we eat with our family in order to suit their timings rather than the timings of our own body, which means we are putting food into our bodies when we're not physically ready. I can also procrastinate a snack. When I am uncertain about something, I tend to head to food or coffee as a distraction. Again, you know, not necessarily the biggest crime in the world, but again, if you are not hungry, even a coffee is adding to your body something that it doesn't necessarily need at that moment in time. I also associate watching films and long car journeys with snacking. I want to try new foods. So if I go to the kitchen and supermarket, that can make me faux hungry as well. And they're just a few things that I could think of off the top of my head. You may have others. I would love to know what they are. Reach out to me. Let me know. Tell me what your habits are, and let's pick those and super sleuth them to see how we can help you to overcome them. Maybe you snack before bed because you worry that you're going to be hungry in the night, or that you'll wake up if you don't, because maybe you were encouraged to have supper as a kid. That's not something that I've got, but it's something that I know other people have got. Or maybe you you know, when you're about to go out the house in the morning, you think that I've got to have breakfast before I go to work because I don't know when the next time is that I'll get to eat. And again, this can be something that's a little bit ingrained in us from our school years and carries on into work, you know, especially if you've got a 9 to 5. Or conversely, you could be a night worker, and so again, your body's all shifted about, and you've got to figure out what's unique to you. Or again, perhaps you come home from work and you head straight to the fridge because maybe you were encouraged to have a little nibble when you came home from school, a little bit to tide you over before your main meal. But again, it might be that you formed a habit of doing that, but you're not actually hungry. But your body, if you aren't truly listening to it, mind, body, and soul, you might actually be overeating. And so if any of this sounds familiar, this is something that we can work on with coaching, in the membership, through belief coding. And so definitely check out the Backstage Pass today, and it would be great to have you in there. So let's flip to the other side of the coin, stopping at enough. I just love, so again, anybody who's watching on video, they'll be able to see that there is a picture of a GIF of Mick Jagger with 2 cats. The title on the screen says, "I can't," and in brackets, "can get no satisfaction." Just laughing at it here. You're missing out. I'm sorry, podcast listeners. So go check out a video just to see this GIF. But if I don't know what is satisfaction if it's not 2 cats. I'm a huge cat fan. Anyway, flipping to this other side of the coin. So enough is when your body is physically satisfied and it's got enough energy and nutrients on board to get you to your next meal. So sometimes when I see intuitive eating talked about, I actually hear the word full being used. But full, I think, actually has a different meaning to all of us. And again, if you want to heal your relationship with food, and certainly if you want to work on weight loss with love, getting to know what your fullness, your satisfaction signals are, what that feels like and means to you, and what comes up, what thoughts, what sensations you've got in your body, general feelings, just as you're starting to approach satisfied, as you go beyond it, that is all an absolute must. And again, this is where I say, really, I just had the idea that I was either hungry or full. Didn't realize that actually there was these teeny tiny nuances between the levels, and that they are really worth looking at, especially if you want, like I say, weight loss with love, and you want food freedom and to be able to eat all of the things that you really, really do love. Then it's really helpful to get in touch with your body. And again, whether we're using coaching or belief coding, we can work on rewiring these beliefs and looking at these habits around your food. And the thing is that food and our relationship with food is super complex. There is no magic wand, one size fits all approach. How I behave, how you behave, what we eat, how much, why, when, who it's with, it's all very, very personal. It's your own personal recipe. And this is why for lasting success, you have to build your own process, and you have to work on your life and your weight loss your way. And I can't tell you what your body feels like when it's at enough or satisfied or full. I can't tell you what you think or what you will then do, but I can walk alongside you and I can give you some guides to help you to figure it out. And this starts with, like I say, your relationship with food. It's one of the starting modules in the Food Freedom course if you were to join the membership or work with me one-to-one. Food can be a source of fuel, it's a source of pleasure or comfort. It can also be a source of doubt, fear, and upset. And just like with hunger and feeling ready for food, where you have reasons for eating, when you are not hungry, you will have reasons for overeating and going beyond what you physically need. And if you want lasting success, then again, you've got to start to get to know more of these and figure out these little habits and traits and work through them one by one. And so in my, again, in my Food Freedom Fundamentals course, I talk about the metaphorical jigsaw and how I think that life and weight loss go together like a puzzle, that we have a number of pieces to these puzzles. We have the corners and the straight edges, which are the easier pieces to place. We've got the bits in the middle that are sometimes harder because maybe they're upside down, or, you know, they've just gone off to the side, or they're the wrong way up. And then we've got the missing pieces, the pieces that we can't seem to find ourselves, the ones that are really, really hidden and buried deep and fell on the floor and never made their way back into the box. And within the, like I say, within the membership, within coaching and belief coding, we can get all of these pieces out and we can start to put together your own unique life jigsaw. And I say, I want to get you started today. You know, if this is the first episode of the Wellness for Women show that you're catching, you're in the right place, and there is plenty to go at with regards to the podcast. But if you want to take it deeper, you know where I am. And so what does, again, enough and satisfied look like? So I said, when you've reached this state of enough, you're feeling content, you're feeling balanced, you're not questioning if you've overeaten, you're not claiming to be full, you're not undoing your trousers and telling everyone that you're in a food coma. You feel energized, you can go about your day freely, and you feel comfortable and confident that you're going to be okay till your next meal, and that, again, you can trust that your body's got you. And getting to this point is, again, it's all about loving experimentation, seeing what comes up for you, and also certain types of food as well. You know, certain types of food might have different types of reactions in your body, and these are all really, really important to listen. And this is why I'm saying really listen to your body, because it might be that you're just not listening hard enough right now, and, like I say, relying on external sources. And again, when you've been on diets, have you ever really, like I say, stopped and looked at what you are doing and why? I know I didn't. I was so focused on whether I was on plan with my points, calories, shakes, because I did them all. I didn't look beyond this. And I went around with diet blinkers on. So I call it diet blinkers. And that's just, you know, and I go around just eating what I was told and trying to move my body and hoping that I would lose weight. And sure, again, this can work. Again, the advice, you know, that we get is always, you know, eat less, move more. But it's often not as simple as that in reality. And if it was, let's say, we'd all be at our goal weights. But diet blinkers is ultimately any time when you're not really seeing the big picture in your weight loss. And we can get diet blinkers for a number of reasons. So we've got these habits that we formed over the years that I was talking about earlier, these underlying beliefs from our childhood and past experiences, some of which can even be encoded at the DNA level. And then I say we have life and her curveballs that can easily take us off track. And eating to satisfaction is no different. So throughout my weight loss journey, I have overeaten many times, like we all do from time to time. And at the end of the day, I'm human, you're human. We make mistakes, we have slip-ups, we do things that doesn't always suit and serve us. And we don't do it on conscious purpose. It's just sometimes it can happen. Sometimes, you know, it's usually we're letting our subconscious ride the show at that point. But you can use the AAA Way Food and Life Freedom method to super sleuth these aspects of your weight loss. So what is your definition of enough, satisfied, full, and belly busting? In the membership, if you remember, there is a physical satisfaction scale that can help you to identify this from ranges 0 to 10. 0 being that you're so hungry you are going to wither away and any second, and a 10 being that you're so belly busting full that you can't think about eating for a week. But you can build your own scale. This was, I've just put a guide together for you. And where intuitive eating comes, it's in the middle. You're starting eating when you're physically in need, but you don't let yourself get too hungry, and you stop when you're satisfied. And so I call it the Goldilocks sweet spot. And again, for weight loss, you need to experiment with this. You need to experiment with love. You can try leaving bites behind. You can be mindful of your preconceptions about food. So like maybe, sandwiches have always come in 2 rounds of bread, but maybe actually you could just have 1 round of bread and see how you get on. You can check things like bowls and plate sizes. Interesting experiment. If you get one of what you'd class, because I bet you've got them, big bowls and little bowls, and portion something into your little bowl, then tip it into your big bowl and see what they look like, because again, that perception that you've got, they'll be different. And I've got a photo of it somewhere which I'll perhaps pop on social media. Again, you can experiment with just serving yourself a little less, leaving some in the kitchen and seeing if you need to go back for it. Breaking halfway through your meal and then seeing how you feel in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and just observing it and seeing what comes up. And so again, some of the things that I've identified in my weight loss journey that can impact my satisfaction levels is that I can have a desire to have something sweet after dinner. I think I was definitely, probably a lot of us were in the pudding club. Cleaning my plate. Again, we were told to clean our plates as children. If you've got a bag of crisps, that usually once you pop, they don't say in Pringles, once you pop, you just can't stop for no reason, because it comes in a packet. It's almost like you've got to finish the packet. We're completer finishers in that sense. But again, it's also looking at that sometimes bigger plates doesn't automatically mean bigger portions. So you can see how much space you can leave on your plate. And then, of course, we've got all of the thoughts and feelings that we can have in terms of I deserve food after a long day, or needing to zone out, or you're actually distracted by eating your meal with family and friends, or you're doom scrolling on Facebook at the same time as trying to eat, or eating at your desk. And just saying things to yourself like 1 more bite won't matter, or saving your best bits, picking at food whilst you're cooking or cleaning the kitchen. All these are all things that could be impacting into your weight loss journey. And again, are all the things that in my book, tell me if I'm wrong, that traditional dieting doesn't really focus on. But these are the needle movers. These are the things that if you can tidy all of these up, will change your life. Underlying all of this once more is our beliefs. Again, beliefs and our habits and how they formed and how we take these actions over the years. So again, I talk about being a lunchbox kid. So, when I have a sandwich, my brain automatically goes, where's the packet of crisps? Where's the chocolate bar? And where's the can of pop? And if I go out, I'm conditioned to believe that I need to get my money's worth. I need to finish that plate because I've paid for that food. Or if I've been cooked for, that I should eat everything that's on my plate to show that appreciation. But actually, I'm potentially overeating in doing all of those things. And so we have to become really aware of those things, how we tick and how we operate. And then again, make sure that you're listening, mind, body, and soul. Again, these can be figured out, and new beliefs and new habits can be formed. And as mentioned earlier in the show, this week's member resource is called Listening with a Little Heart and Soul. It's an homage back to the band T'Pau. I don't know if you know them. Let me know if you do. Part of the lyrics is give a little love to grow. And again, it's all about self-love, loving ourselves throughout our journey, down the journey, and doing everything with love. And it really resonates with me because again, it's what I want I want you to always take away from this show, is that if you're going to do something, do it with love. Love yourself deeply, give your mind, body, and soul what it needs, and it's the ultimate act of self-care. And self-care is not selfish. It is 1,000% true that you can't fully give from an empty cup, and therefore you have to look after yourself before you can look after others. Because at the end of the day, a flower will bloom from a seed if you plant and nurture it, if it has the right environment that suits its unique needs. and if it's given that nourishment, and if it's given that love. And you are the seed, but you are also the gardener. So whether you bloom and grow or not depends on how you nurture and care for yourself. And hopefully I've given you some tips today that can help you to start to think about these things. And this is, again, all it is. You're not going to be able to do all of these things overnight. You might have little flurries where you do these things and don't do these things. But the more that you can keep working on them and keep figuring out how you tick and everything like that, the quicker you will find your relationship with food changes. So wrapping up, that's it, folks. It's time to wrap up. And so in today's episode, I dived into the a bit deeper, the world of intuitive eating, than I think I've gone into in the other episodes, and learning how to listen to our body, our hunger and satisfaction signals, busted a few myths around food quantities, and discovered the power of loving experimentation for lasting weight loss. And as I said, if you're in the membership, dive into the complimentary resources for this show. There's going to be 2 this week. Woohoo! And make sure that you reach out for support and coaching in the group. And again, if you're not in the membership yet, then, and you're ready to embark on a journey of transformation, to find food freedom, to change your relationship with food, then I would invite you to join us, because there is a literal treasure trove of resources in there, including the 2 new ones that are going in this week, which is listening with a little heart and soul, and testing your body with kinesiology, which is absolutely fascinating. I'm not a trained practitioner. I'm just going to share with you something that I've learned, but it's really, really fascinating as to what your body can tell you if you just know how to listen. And on that note, I am going to love you and leave you all for the week, and I will see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to boost your life and weight loss the AAA way, check out the relevant links for today's show in the description. Speak soon.